What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I have returned. Oh, man, it's been a while since we've done a live video. So, here's what's going on. Welcome to the Wrestling Wire. This is going to be a weekly recap video where I go over every bit of wrestling I can go over in a week's time. We've got so much content this week. Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night NXT, Wednesday Night AEW, Thursday being NXT UK Main Event and Impact Wrestling. Friday night being SmackDown. Just a ton of content out there. So I'm making sure that we get everything off to the right, happenings. I have booked a guest for later on in the show that I will be shooting an invite to here momentarily. An up and coming talent who was on TV this week has decided to grace us with their presence, and they're going to be joining us here on the show here in a little bit. So once again, welcome. I see I've got a handful of you in here. So you know what? Let's get right to it. We're going to go ahead and start with Monday Night Raw. Now, bear in mind, Monday Night Raw has been just abysmal for months and months on end. The show had been terrible. The last several weeks, maybe even month and a half, have noticed a changing trend. Now, opening segment, let's start right there. Paul Heyman. There's nobody better on the microphone with Paul Heyman, and that includes him messing up on the microphone. Don't even try to argue, because there is no argument against that man being the greatest person on the microphone today, period. And if not, one of the greatest talkers ever in history. That's just how it is. And guys, be sure you throw your comments at me because I've got them up. Oh, also StreamYard. If you have StreamYard, go to facebook.com/StreamYard and get your situation with them straightened out. And I can actually take your comments and post them here on the show as you guys lock them in. Stones, my brother. No, I have let's see here. Perfect word for Raw. That's right. See, thank you. And you need to be a guest, dude. I bring you on, no problem. You know that. I got no problem with you. I gladly bring you on. I think you and I have talked about doing a collaboration for years. So screw it. Let's make it happen. Michael, no, I have not tried any MLW, dude. I struggled to watch what I watched this week. There is so much out there that it makes no sense for anybody to be a hater about wrestling anymore because there's something for everyone. I'll go ahead and throw it out like this. When you look at Impact Wrestling, the crowds at Impact Wrestling are smaller than some of the crowds that I work here in the upstate of South Carolina. I don't know what happened at Hard to Kill as far as their show, but it is what it is. There's just a lot to it. Their regular crowd, like for Impact, negative. I'm seeing 35 to 70 people, and the average crowd shows here are 75 and 100 to 150 or better. And that's including with my goofy ass in the ring as your ring announcer. So there's that. But so Michael Capper, I will try to get to those. That's something I'm going to have to, try to work into it. I didn't even get to watch everything I wrote up this week. Some of it I had to read, some of it I sat back and enjoyed live time. But thank you for the comment there. Let's see. Stravy Stones, he says he wants to be a guest, brother. We can do it whenever you're ready. Mr. Maccabee, Cole Maccabee, owner of Pro Wrestling Union. Thank you for tuning in. This is the start of the show, man. I decided I was going to go ahead and launch my own show, my own podcast. Doing a weekly recap. We're going to work with some local up-and-coming talents. We're going to have guests come on, promote their shows, promote where they're going to be, share their social media outreach. Right now, this is already going to 5 different places. As of tomorrow, this will be also hitting YouTube, and we're going to be also going through Spotify or Apple, one of the 50 million venues out there for podcasts. To hell with it. Everybody said to do it. Everybody's been telling me for years I needed to do this. So here we are. I paid the money. Now we're going to put the show out there. and it is what it is. Scott Larson, my friend, I hope you're doing well. I really wanted to let you know something. Man, a lot of people have been on your show, and a lot of people have given you crap. Me personally, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. Number one, you're a veteran. Thank you for serving our country. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know why people have this weird infatuation with talking down to people who just aren't their person. So I don't care. I get along with everybody because I want to work with everybody. I don't do this professional jack off in the locker room crap where I got to try to big league somebody. Who gives a shit? It's independent pro wrestling. It's supposed to be a good time. I always have a good time, even if I mess up. It is what it is. That's why you're there. You're not there because you're on the caliber of being on a Monday Night Raw or an AEW show. You're there because you're there to develop and learn. And that's the great thing about right here where we are in the upstate of South Carolina. This place has been awesome. I've never seen nothing like it. There are so many companies everywhere. I mean, in Southern Maryland, yeah, I had one or two places I could go. I never went. I didn't know anybody, so that was just a thing. Here, I've met most of these people. I talk to a lot of these guys. I hang out with people. It's freaking great. Let's see here. Well, we got to, let's see. Joseph asked, he said, who do you enjoy watching more, AEW or WWE? At this time, I'm still a WWE guy. I've always been a WWE guy. I'm from DC. I'm not from the South originally, even though the Mason-Dixon line is the Maryland PA border. Sorry about your history books, and let me enlighten you. So me being from up there, we had better access to the WWE programming, WWF back then, than we did the WCW programming. Now, even in today's market, to me, the AEW shows look more like a high budget, high production independent show, which is cool because I've gotten to lately fall in love with independent pro wrestling and enjoy going to the shows. However, when I look at pro wrestling as an entity, I look at it as an entertainment spectacle, and nobody does that better than the WWE. And that's just all I can really say about that. Mr. McAfee states, nice. He'll get with me in March. Perfect, dude. That's great. I'm looking forward to that. I planned on bringing that up anyway later on in the show. I have a guest that you will know, sir. So we'll just keep right on keeping on. The cool thing about this show is there's really no rules. There's really no groundwork. I wrote a ton of stuff. If I get to it, I get to it. If I don't, I don't. When the show comes to an end, show comes to an end. All right, so Hard to Kill was kind of dope. I like the fact, I'm with you. I like the fact that they're going to start crossing a little bit of promotional characters here. I think that's going to work out for both. People act like it's some amazing thing that's happening now. Did y'all not watch when Smoky Mountain Wrestling was on there with the Smoky Mountain Tag Champs and Jim Cornette being on Monday nights? Because I remember that. They were even on pay-per-views. It's an insane thing to act like it's some brand new entity that's going on. The WWE being called on an island by itself. It ain't an island. It's a freaking continent. It's that big. It doesn't need anybody else. It wants to do that because it's going to be beneficial for selling tickets or beneficial for where they are or beneficial for whatever the case may be. They go to local arenas. Guys, I got friends on here right now that were just at Monday Night Raw, Greenville, South Carolina, Bon Secours Wellness Arena. And guess what? They straight up had local independent talent in the ring. What a concept. These guys aren't under contract. I don't understand the way people just blow things out of proportion. It's great Mickie James is going to be on the show. I can't wait to see what she does. I think it's even cooler if she carries the Impact title to the ring. That'll be awesome. I doubt that'll happen, but that'd be cool. You just got to learn to roll with the punches on that one. Oh, let's see who we got here. Hey, Brittany, good to see you. I haven't talked to you in forever. Harry Bernard Taylor. Let me tell you about this cat right here. So this is a cat from another local podcast here in the upstate. straight up wrestling show. Great show. I see these guys at a lot of events. I know your buddy Chris Burton. I wish him well and a speedy recovery. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Just know my thoughts and prayers with that man. Let's see here. I got people agreeing with me in here. This is awesome. Fan interaction. This is what I wanted. The reality is, and I got no problems telling anybody this right now. About 4 months ago, the original conversation was not a podcast. The original conversation was with Odyssey, who you know as running and owning a bunch of your local radio stations, especially here in the upstate. The conversation between me and a senior VP of broadcasting and content over there, that back and forth lasted a good couple of months. The reality is I'm not willing to drop $312,000 for 1 year at one show per week. I'm just not willing to take that. Look, I'm a gambling man, but I ain't gambling like that because that's not just everything I own. That's everything I've ever worked for. I can't do that. So we'll keep on moving on. Cole states, years of experience. If you don't like the stories of matches, they've had their production down to an art. Of course they do. And, you know, that's one of the other things I like about the direction your show at Pro Wrestling Union has gone. You've encompassed Luke Adams, Blue Horse Media. Dude, I think the world of Luke, just a phenomenal young man doing a hell of a job. Cole, the stuff y'all write is downright awesome. The stories make sense. Everything works. It is what it is. It's indie wrestling. It's local stuff. There's always going to be hurdles. There's always going to be challenges. But as long as you know you ever call this phone, it answers for you and you know it. All right, let's see here. We've got, it's the new young AEW Marks. We truly love wrestling, all wrestling. Hey, man, look, I love all wrestling. I try like hell to watch it all. I'm not going to lie to you. Impact Wrestling killed me the other night. It was very hard to stomach, but it is what it is. So back to the coverage on the show. Let me shoot that invite out real quick to my man who's going to be on with us here in just a short. Let's see here. I just got to send this and we'll be all set. Awesome. There we go. And it's on. See, that's the way stuff works here. I'm going to invite a friend of mine on, like I say, a local talent I've been working with a couple weeks or a couple different occasions over the last several months. And let's see here, man. Harry, of course, you're welcome. Cole, of course, you're welcome. Man, y'all know this. So back to the opening segment, Monday Night Raw. Paul Heyman, the greatest there is on a microphone, bar none. You want me to give you a close comparison? You need to find Bill Hazelwood. That man is pure money. And you want to talk about a guy who will help build you and your talent and your credibility? Y'all get at Bill Hazelwood. Absolutely wonderful human being. Just a hell of a businessman. And that's what it takes to be in this industry, is a businessman. All right. So the Alpha Academy defeated RK Bro. Let me get this straight. That's the direction we're going with tag teams because they're shorthanded. Are they going to do a belt merger? That's what I would prefer. We got too many belts in the E. It's just plain and simple. Great match. I like Orton. Orton's probably the greatest person in wrestling boots today on television. No doubt about it. I don't think there's anybody that can hold a candle to Randy Orton today, and that includes the Kenny Omegas, the Hangman Adam Page, CM Punk, love Punk, Brian Danielson, whatever. Love that man too. Doesn't matter. Randy Orton has been the most consistent professional in my life and time when it came to pro wrestling. The most consistent. And I say that because Shawn Michaels technically started before my time because in my book, HBK is still probably the GOAT. All right. Reggie and the 24/7 champ, Dana Brooke. defeated Akira Tozawa and Tamina in a mixed tag team match. Match was sloppy as hell. I didn't enjoy this match whatsoever. But at the same time, what we got to get through is we got to get to understanding that they're just trying to give people TV time. And it makes sense. It works. But you got to come up with something better than this. A mixed tag match doesn't always fit the bill, and it doesn't always make sense. 1 second. Ready and able. Awesome. All right, so my guest is now lined up. So he'll be joining us here in probably another 40 minutes or so. Now, I get it. You got to know who the wrestlers are. You got to see them on TV. You got to interact. All good. But to have Tamina teaming with Akira Tozawa just doesn't work. The connection between Dana Brooke and Reggie is hard enough to deal with. But, once again, that's just my opinion. So, next segment we had was Becky Lynch came out talking her normal jargon. Big time Bex. I'm not into the persona. Still, I understand why they're doing it because Ric Flair apparently owns the rights to the man, and you're not going to be able to get that going on. I don't care. That means absolutely jack nothing to me. I would more prefer to see them have a meaningful segment than worry about the monikers because nobody cares about your moniker. I would have started the year off broke as a joke because you couldn't have told me any way other than Liv Morgan winning the title at day one. So now here we go. We're probably going to end up with a triple threat between Doudrop, Bianca Belair, and Liv Morgan, with the winner facing Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. So that's more than likely the direction it's going. Women's tag team match. I am so done with this. I am way beyond done with the tag team matches here because there's a lot of repeat matches. I've seen enough of this. I'm ready for Rhea Ripley to turn on Nikki. And then when she turns on Nikki, that's going to bring a reason for Alexa Bliss to stand up. And there might be a handicap match. There could be a lot of good things going with that. But at any rate, I'm looking to see a heel turn from Rhea Ripley soon because her and Nikki Ash lost to Carmella and Queen Zelina yet again. Just the match looked rough. It really did. It was not a very well orchestrated event. I just don't know how else to put it other than I don't know if their choreography was off, if the timing was off. I can't tell you what was off, but it just looked bad. Some of the spots, some of the bumps, that's what I mean by looking bad. Looking great from a perspective of a fan is one thing, but when you kind of know what does work and what doesn't work in a wrestling ring by being there and seeing these guys do it and train and build into it and how they contort it into being something awesome, that's it. That's the way to go. Street Profits defeated Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. That was a great debut for Commander Aziz. The Street Profits are, without a shadow of doubt, one of the most entertaining tag teams. Y'all can forget about Air Jordan because from here on out, it's Air Ford because nobody gets hired in Montez Ford. There's no bones about it. I swear to God, if I was good enough with this computer or any of the meme-making stuff, I would 3D print my own logo for Air Ford and have it printed on a pair of J's and just call it a freaking day because that man would sell shoes. Let's see here. I'm going to take a break from the readout and pop some comments in. HBK's the GOAT. Thanks. I agree with that. Scott Larson, I hope they end the brand split and go back to 3 belts and tag belts. All right. So one main belt, U.S. on one show, Intercontinental on another, tag team titles flopping back and forth, one women's title, one women's tag title. I'm good. I think that would work. I think that overall would be fine, unless they decide to do something different now that they just conjoined the NXT and the Cruiserweight title, which they just did this last Tuesday. Can't wait to get into that show yet again. WWE on fire this week. Um, let's see. Opinions correct. 24/7 title was supposed to be a joke. It is now because of Dana. Dude, and that's the bad thing. I like Dana Brooke. I really do think that she's a talented individual. Is she really great in the ring? No, but she's solid enough to be safe. That's the important part. When you have somebody who looks good, Eva Marie or a Carmella or a Dana Brooke or anything like that, you think of the upper echelon of the women that try to sell the fact that they're beautiful as their main point for being in the ring. Okay. When you look at them, Carmella's really not that structurally sound. She's really not that solid. Whereas to me, Dana Brooke is better in that aspect. You put an Eva in there, and that's a freaking train wreck. It's an injury waiting to happen. I don't like shit like that. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I do try, at least in this occasion, to control my mouth because there's a lot of people sharing this stuff, and this is being broadcast on a lot of platforms. So I don't really want to piss anybody off. However, when things get said, I say them with conviction for a reason. I'm the saint for a reason. What I say is what I say, and it's what I mean. I don't say anything unless I mean it. I'll never lie to anybody because I don't care enough about your feelings to worry about lying to you. So anyway, back to the right up here. United States Championship. Damian Priest and Dolph Ziggler. Dude, if this wasn't match of the night or match of the week, it's going to be a very hard one to beat for me. I thought this was great. They told a wonderful story. Dolph Ziggler is extremely underrated for how good he is. Bobby Roode is just awesome. Well, Robert Roode now in the E, whatever. But there's just so much to it. And Damian Priest, I can't think of anybody else that's had a main roster run in their debut 2 years period that he has, as far as coming up from the independents into NXT into the main roster. That dude did run the gauntlet. I give a lot of credit to him and I give a lot of credit to what he does. Let's see. Edge and Beth Phoenix accepted the challenge, or Edge and Beth Phoenix challenged The Miz and Maurice to a match at the Rumble. Folks, the segment was too long. Great segment. I got the point. We knew it was coming. We all knew where it was going. We knew from day one. The pay-per-view day one, January 1st. We knew then. But here's the kicker. It's too long of a segment, but that's because The Miz was talking. Anytime The Miz puts a microphone in his hand and puts it to his mouth, he talks too long. I'm going to get to you in a minute, Scott. I will get to you in a minute. I'm not doing it right now. I'll get to you eventually. Come on, man. But anytime The Miz is talking, just way too long, way too irritating of a show for him to deal with. I realistically get up and walk away. I just don't want to hear the guy talk because it's the same shit it's been for the last 12 years. It hasn't changed. It hasn't evolved. It hasn't gotten better. I don't enjoy watching The Miz on my TV. He's not a bad wrestler. He's really not. But, Jesus, he's just abysmal on the microphone. On to the next match. Osmos defeated AJ Styles. Look, guys, don't hate me. I get it. As long as AJ didn't get hurt, who cares? Okay? We knew it was going to be a squash match. You knew you weren't going to have AJ upset the big man. You're not going to see the big man lose until he loses to another big man, i.e., maybe Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley, somebody huge. But you're not going to see that for a while because they're still building Omos up, or Omos, or whatever the hell, Osmos, Omos, almost. I don't care. They're still building him up, and it's going to get there. And then in the final segment of Monday Night Raw, we had Bobby Lashley defeating Big E, Kevin Owens, and Seth freaking Rollins in a fatal four-way match to earn a WWE Championship opportunity against Brock Lesnar. And y'all, yet again, WWE swerved my ass because I would have been so sold on Big E winning because of the way Paul Heyman put him over. In that opening segment, Paul Heyman did such a wonderful job of putting over Big E when he didn't have to. He doesn't have to. Nobody has to give you a damn thing in that ring. When somebody does that for you, that means that they actually genuinely like you and respect you in this industry. And for that man to be the one to give you that compliment, you just got your roses before you ever died, my man. And there ain't nothing against that at all. So, Bobby winning, perfect swerve. I'm all about it. Yet another great match. It was a really good show, a really good match. Um, I'm still going to go with Damian Priest and Dolph Ziggler as being my match of the night for that one. So let's catch up on a couple of comments. You and I certainly don't agree on Sami Zayn. We haven't got to Sami Zayn yet, number one. And number two, there is no way I'd probably ever agree with you on Sami Zayn. Oh, this must be the hacker. This is the guy who hacked Scott Larson's program or profile talking to me right now. This isn't the real Scott Larson. This is whoever, tried to ask people for money and all this other goofy shit in Messenger. That's that guy. It's not real Scott. It's okay. I'll understand. I'll understand. I know. Well, I'm advertising it for you now that you were hacked, and it was just this guy who did shit for you. Anyway, so moving on, we go to NXT New Year's Evil. Man, what a kick butt show that was. Just, if the production quality and the wrestling quality were on the same level, it'd be a hard one to beat every week. The cool thing is, with knowing about NXT and you know in advance what you're getting into, you are getting people who are developing and growing into the industry. You're even getting some people who are born into the industry at this point. They've never been in before, and they're just now coming through now, which is awesome. It's a great way to get young, fresh, new talent. It's a great way to get these people working in front of a live crowd. It's a great way to get them on TV to where they're not nervous. They learn how to work the camera. They learn how to work the microphone. They learn how to work, period. Just a wonderful idea. Really wonderful idea. But in my book, we all know it's developing talent. And there is some still good stuff in there. I'm glad that they still kept some of the veterans around that are still there. Tommaso Ciampa is probably one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet, period. Multiple reasons. Number one, he's just a badass. And number two, to go through what he went through and still be in the ring because you love it, that's a hell of a man right there. And the same with that, you got to bring up Edge. You got to bring up Bryan Danielson. You got to bring up all the crap that these men went through, and they still do this because they love it. That's dedication, passion, heart, desire. That's everything all rolled into one. It's lightning in a freaking bottle. And it's in those individuals. That's what makes it special. So we started off that night with the North American Championship. Carmelo Hayes defeating Cruiserweight Champion Roderick Strong in a championship unification match. Match of the night, bar none. It ain't even close. We're not going to go into it. I'm not going to argue about it because you can't. That's it. It felt like it could go either way, which I think was part of the reason I really liked that match. I couldn't tell where it was going yet. I couldn't tell who was going to win in advance. So the element of surprise really resonated within me and made me feel like, man, this is nuts. And holy crap, there's going to be a ton of spots here. And it was great. It wasn't a big spot fest. It wasn't overproduced. It wasn't over choreographed. It was just a wonderful shot. Really good time. So on and on that goes. I could go on that match for a half hour, and the match was 10 minutes. Like, really. Oh. Let's see here. The next match we got is Riddle and the MSK defeated Imperium. Good fun match. Everyone's shined. Made sense for Riddle to pin someone other than Walter. That was my big takeaway for that match. With Walter being in there and there being so many different variables going on, it's just crazy. You don't want to see Walter take a loss. He's getting ready to be on your brand. So you don't want to squash him before you build him. The tag champs, Imperium have been around for years. They're kicking ass. They're doing great. You don't want to make anybody look weak. You don't want your challengers, which is going to be MSK. You don't want them to be looking like a bunch of jackasses out there. You don't want to bring in Riddle and have Riddle take a loss as a Raw tag team champion. It just doesn't make sense. So it made perfect sense for one of the Imperium guys to take the pinfall and lose, whereas it made more sense. It made more sense to have Riddle have that pin than it did for anybody else. It was just it's a good match. It worked. I just really enjoyed it. NXT's Women's Championship match, Mandy Rose defeats Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade. This match was rough as hell. I did not care for it. It was way overproduced. It protected Raquel, which is fine. Good thing yet again. It elevated Cora, which works yet again. Young, upcoming talent. That girl is like 21 years old. She is going to be here for a while. For a while. She's got years that she can do this. That is the smartest thing you could do. You brought that person up to that main event caliber level. Now, is she going to stay there? Probably not. She's going to filter in and out. It's going to be a revolving door, and it's going to work. It's going to be awesome. So I'm all about it. I like Cora Jade. I think she's awesome. I've been really impressed with her over the last several weeks. Raquel Gonzalez has been around forever. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, she's chopped liver. She's earned her spot. We all know this. So let's see here. Very next match was the main event. Braun Breaker defeated NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa. Good match. You can see how nervous Braun was, which is what threw me off a bit. He did well, but you could see it in some of his moves. You could see him kind of second guessing or getting too nervous or changing up and not doing what he was intending to do. It worked. It was a good match. They told a good story. Ciampa being the consummate professional, giving him the nod of approval after the match. Just a great spot. And then after the event went off air, apparently Breaker's father, Rick Steiner, came into the ring and, raised his son's hand and gave him a hug and all that. And, that's awesome. The fact that Ciampa went out there and shook Steiner's hand as well, just a really, really good moment. That's what makes wrestling. You guys, if you've never been to a local show or an indie show, the moment when the wrestlers are walking out of the building while everybody's cleaning it up and stuff like that, and they'll stop and they'll talk to fans and they'll give the fans a hug or whatever the case may be, a high five, a picture. They'll hang out, they'll shake hands, they'll converse with you. When those moments happen, those are what make memories for these people and what build that passion and desire to keep it going for a long time. So there's that. I'm not going to get into rating the shows until later on in the show because I feel like if I start breaking off ratings this early in the game, we're going to end up with people pissy that I said one thing about one show and one thing about another. So I'll save all the drama for the end with your mama and we'll call it a night there. Oh, man. Dude, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, feel free, share away. Like I said, dude, we're going to catch up. I will see you on the 21st of this month. We know this. I'll bring that up later, too. And then there's some other things I want to run by you anyway, but we'll have to do that later on down the line as more changes are coming because this podcast is phase one. This is phase one of what I plan on doing with 2022. So I appreciate the compliment, my friend. Really do. Let's see here. AEW Dynamite. Look, can somebody please tell me one thing about AEW? And look, I got a handful of y'all in here right now, so somebody's got to have some information. If I need to find Shane, I know Shane. I'll share this with him. I'll hit him up. Maybe Shane will give me an answer. I want to know who AEW buys the razor blades from? Because I want to invest in that so I can make money. Because they go through so many razor blades. There's so much blading every week. It's not that serious. Not every rivalry has to have blood. It doesn't work that way. By using blood, it says that you can't tell a story any other way. Not every rivalry has to end in bloodshed. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. It becomes washed out. Look, I'm a fan of the old ECW. Love the old ECW. Love the Attitude Era. You didn't see Austin bleed every night. You didn't see somebody bleeding on ECW every night. You just saw badass moves, badass matches, great production, and wonderful psychology. Psychology. That's one thing that's hugely missing in today's modern wrestling, especially on television. That's what's missing, in my opinion, the most, is that really good psychology is lost. You can find it here. You can find it at Pro Wrestling Union. That I will say. Because Cole doesn't put up with any of the dumb shit. Cole doesn't put up with the dumb shit. Look at this. Hold on. Look. I said Cole doesn't put up with dumb shit, and here he is right now. Must be barely inserted correctly. Exactly. Cole doesn't allow any of the goofiness, or as much of it, I should say. He also does not allow too much hokey. He doesn't like a bunch of the crazy stuff that messes up psychology. If it doesn't have a reason, it doesn't have a place at his show. That's the way Cole works. I love working with Cole for that reason. He's a consummate professional. All right. Let's see here. Because we're talking about AEW Dynamite, I had to switch the banner over. Oh, man. Edwin Reyes says that wrestling has changed. It's a matter of taste. You know, you're not wrong, sir. You're not wrong at all. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to switch gears real quick because I was just informed that my special guest is about to arrive. So when he is ready, he is free to go ahead and click the link and come on in, and we will introduce him and we will go through what transpired this week on WWE television. As soon as he joins, I will go ahead and finish the overall AEW. I'm not going to pick it apart. I'm not going to bash it. The blading thing's too much. Like I said, I feel like it's an independent show. It is what it is, but it's fun. It seems like a rock concert, and I'm trying to think of how to put that a different way to make it make sense for people that have never been to a rock concert. So if you ever been to a movie, you know, with a movie, you're there and you're quiet and you're enjoying it. You may hear clapping every now and then. You may hear some moans, groans, and oohs and ahs and things like that. But you don't hear a lot of people getting loud throughout the whole movie. That's trying to take everything in. It's kind of like the difference between Japanese wrestling and American wrestling. Here you got the crowds loud as hell. There you got the crowds clapping. Yeah, it's just how it goes with that. Now, when it comes to AEW, it looks like a rock concert. It looks like a good time. I've got no issues. I'd gladly go. I haven't had the opportunity yet. But I don't want people to think that just because I don't like some of what they do or some of the people that work for them, you know, that I have a problem with their show, because I don't. I try to give everything a chance. Once again, Impact this last week on Thursday was the drizzle and shits, but as far as it goes, it still had some spots that were moderately entertaining. You can always find the good parts of what you enjoy in everything. Say you like a Spider-Man movie, you'll still see Tony Stark in there occasionally. Hell, I love Tony Stark. So see, it's kind of like that. That's about the only way I can think to explain it. But so My guest is still working on loading up. While we're going through it, we'll go ahead and get to Adam Page defeated Bryan Danielson to retain the AEW title in a clean finish. Now, I hyphenated clean that you can't see, but I hyphenated it because they were both covered in blood. So, like I said, it was a pretty good match. I did like the fact that Hangman won cleanly. No screwball finish, no malarkey, just he pinned him and won in the center of the ring. That works. Now, and at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you. Welcome to the show, our guest, Mr. Luka Daniels. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey.
All right. Hey, look, for those of you who do not know, Mr. Luka Daniels right here, this man has been wrestling for less than 1 year professionally, or right around 1 year professionally.
13 months now.
13 months now. In 13 months' time, this fool was just on WWE Main Event. I want y'all to look it up and tell me who's in that class. Who has done that in 1 year? Who has done that in 1 year?
You know, I thought about that. I thought about that the other day, dude, and I was like, I might be the only person that doesn't have family or anybody like in wrestling that did that. There's not many people that just start off from scratch and get to do that, so that was pretty cool.
Yep. And you know, I'm watching the comment section right now, and I want to make sure that anybody out there sitting and watching, do me a solid. Make sure you can hear both Luka and myself. Just, you know, say, yeah, we hear y'all or something in the comment section. But
you hear me. You might want to put me on mute, though, man. A lot of people hate hearing me.
Hey, I ain't worried about that. It is what it is. And look, hey, man, you just had somebody compliment you. Check this out.
Yeah,
look,
see my boy Edwin over there.
Hard work pays off. Hell yeah. Man,
it was a hell of a year, that's for sure.
Dude, you ain't lying. I just met you this year.
Yep. We did that show, was it in September, yeah?
The Buckshot.
Yep.
The benefit for Buckshot. And I was like, dude, this kid is freaking legit. Because when I saw your match there, I was like, somebody definitely would pay for that. There was 2 or 3 matches that night that I was like, oh, I could see Vince or Tony or somebody paying to put this on TV.
And I can gladly see the way that match was laid out. Like, my vision for that match played out so much differently from what it ended up being. It was like the crowd, man. That crowd was just so into it. It was insane how it ended up playing out with that.
Yep. And so you got to work the crowd, and you do, and you work the crowd, and that's what makes sense. That's one thing I enjoy about watching you work. You work with the crowd, you work off of them. Now, the last show we were both at together, the His Pro Wrestling show.
Yes. Oh, man.
I mean, dude, I don't know what happened, but you had me concerned. Like, I was legit worried about you because I was like,
yeah, it wasn't one of my best matches. I'll say that match. And I think the worst part about it is we had that little incident that happened right before our match even started in the crowd where the 2 ladies were arguing. So everybody was thrown off by that in itself. So it was just a train wreck when that happened. But
yeah,
no, we're gonna have those matches where you just have stinkers here and there. You just got to learn to deal with it.
Right. Oh, I agree, dude. And see, that was the thing. Like Rollins, the booker, is over there, you know, signaling me, "Hey, get on with it, get on with it." And I'm looking at him, shaking my head, no. And I point to them 2 women in the crowd fussing and whatever. I'm like, y'all got to do something. My kids are in the crowd.
Yeah, I remember that one lady was just cursing up a storm. I'm like, come on now. It's not that kind of show.
Exactly. Well, my thing was, it's like, dude, get security over here. Follow your own rules that you set. You said this is a Christian show. Let's keep it a Christian show.
Yeah.
Let's make it so that we get this eliminated. I didn't want nothing. I wasn't standing there. Thankfully, the security guy, medical dude, was sitting like right behind my kids. Yeah, so I knew I had nothing to worry about with them. But I'm like, I didn't want nothing.
10 minutes. I remember that vividly. It was not the kind of thing you want to see, but it does happen at those kind of shows every now and then.
Yep. So we can see in the background you're out there training. How often are you training these days?
So I actually work here. So this is For Balance Fitness. I'm sure you guys know Michael Judas. He owns the gym. So I work here for him as a personal trainer too. So if anybody wants to get some personal training in and get back in shape, because it is New Year's, everybody else have New Year's resolutions. This is the time to come. So come give us a visit. We can get you in here quick. But I work out 6 days a week. So
Damn.
yeah, and then today I was just working out a little bit in the ring, just hanging out. But we're just running through some drills and stuff because usually I train in Mondays in Georgia. It's a little cold, so we don't know if we're going tomorrow yet or not. But just in case, we always have Sundays now to train into.
Gotcha. So you worked for CPW, Pro Wrestling Union.
Yep.
You worked for his. You've been
Yep.
working a lot in Georgia. What are some of the promotions in Georgia?
So my favorite one personally is Southern Fried. I've worked for Southern Honor. They're one of the top promotions right now. They probably are the top promotion at this point. Rest America, I just worked with them yesterday. They're really fun to do. I just started Anarchy. Anarchy's pretty good. Trying to think who else we can get. There's SWA. I've done APW Royston. That's how I started off in Georgia. Let me see. I can't think of anybody. Oh, PCW. PCW in Covington, Georgia. They're pretty good. I like going there. That's a good place to get your feet in if you haven't wrestled in Georgia yet. I always recommend guys to go there. That's the first place to go. And then as far as that, like I'll go to Alabama. I've been to Tennessee a couple of times. I've done a few North Carolina shows too, but mostly Georgia for the most part.
Gotcha. Now is you mentioned PCW? Is that the Caribbean?
No, definitely not. That's Platinum Championship Wrestling. So they're over in Covington, Georgia. A lot of the Nightmare Factory guys go there to get their work in. So you'll see all kinds of places there. It's pretty cool going there. It's one of my favorite places to go to in the Indies. It's a really small place, and like the crowd is just right there on you, but it's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I know you don't have too much time because you're training and whatnot today. So,
No, you're good.
What was it like, man? What was it like being in front of that crowd?
Gosh, are we talking about Monday?
Yeah, well, Monday's when it was, and it aired Thursday on WWE Main Event on Hulu.
Hulu, yes, dude, it was awesome, man. So like, I got there at 12. Apparently, I had got in there early. So somebody had told me that they were supposed to come in at 12 or 2. Sorry, I was like, oh well, whoops. So I was sitting around for like 4 hours, and a couple guys came in, and I figured they were extras too. So they're hanging out. They disappeared, and I'm like, oh well, shoot, that stinks for me. So I'm sitting there, and I texted Judas. I'm like, yeah, I guess I might not be used today. So I went to one of the talent relations guys, and I go, hey, where can I go watch the rehearsals and like all the stuff they're getting ready for the ring and everything? He goes, yeah, you just go down this way. I'm like, all right, cool. I get there, I sit in the crowd. I kid you not, 10 minutes later, one of the referees picks me out. He goes, hey, you want to work tonight? I'm like, yeah, I do. What kind of question is that?
Damn.
That's how I ended up working T-bar. I tell you what, like, I wasn't like completely nervous before the match, but when I walked out onto the stage with the referee walking me down, I looked down, I'm like, holy. You start seeing like 6,000 people out there in the crowd. I'm like, it's so much different than sitting there compared to looking at everybody in one shot. But once the bell rang, everything was good. Obviously I got my ass handed to me, but it was worth it.
Dude, you did, but at the same time, like in the beginning with you poking him in the chest and smacking him and trash talking him, it was like it fit you.
Well, you know how I work in Spartanburg. I like to talk a lot. And I was like, well, if I'm going to die out on my own terms.
Exactly.
I was stop him. I regretted that one because he launched my ass.
Oh, dude. Some of those bumps did look rough as hell. They really did.
It was fun, though. I mean, man, I was getting my ass handed. I'm like, whoo, man, I've never had so much fun getting beat up before.
Well, and you probably got paid to get beat up pretty good.
Yes, very much. It was good. Good time.
There you go. That's what. Hey, look, it ain't all about the money, but you got to be doing it for a reason besides passion. Yeah.
Well, hell, I would have done it for free just for that one time, just because I've never done it before. I've never been there. I'd be like, if this is a tryout, so be it.
Right. And in that case, I understand what you're saying. However, there's a lot of people out there who have this just mind-blown misconception of, oh, I'm going to do this and starve to death for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. That's not the goal.
Exactly. So, I mean, money's not the most important thing, but the reality is you got to get paid for your efforts.
Yep.
And it's always good when you do. And your effort was awesome. We watched it last night, actually. I got home at just before 11 o'clock from work. I worked from 7 a.m. yesterday morning until 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock last night, and then drove home. Yeah, from Greenville, where you are. So, yeah.
I did the same thing. I got here at work at 7 in the morning yesterday. As soon as we were done, we finished at 12. I went straight to Rest America, which is a 4-hour drive to get there. So I got there around 4:30. I warmed up. By the time I got home, it was 4 in the morning.
Gotcha.
That was a long drive.
I can believe it. But so we watched it last night, and my daughter and her friend, who you met at the his show.
Yes, we took pictures.
Yes, and they Jesus Christ, they show them to me every time that little girl's over here. Those pictures come out. Oh my god. Between you and Mantis, I swear to God, y'all, they never stop talking about you two.
Talk about Ryan Mantis.
Yes, Ryan Mantis,
my boy.
Yes, dude, good dude, really good dude. But so we sat there and watched it, and they were like, "Oh my god, that had to hurt." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure it did." I'm like, "But you'd hurt too if you got thrown 8 feet across the ring."
Oh yeah, gosh, that dude was super strong, man. Like I've never been thrown around like that before. I'm like, see, I'm used to because Judas, like when we've been in the ring a few times, he's throwing me around like a freaking piece of candy. So I'm like, well, it is what it is.
Gotcha. And see, now you're originally from New York, right?
It's Queens.
Are you originally from Queens?
Yeah.
How the hell did you end up down here?
I used to work with my cousin down here. He had a warehouse here. So I moved there when I was 18, and I worked for him for a little while, and obviously things didn't work out. So I started going on my own route, and then I found wrestling. So now I'm here.
Dude, what a hell of a turn in the road, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. So from this point last year to now, it's like a whole 180. So like last year it was 140. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I had gone through like a little tough time at the time last year. Now I'm here. I'm like, holy cow! Like I just got done with WWE. I actually weigh like a normal man now. I look like a normal person. I'm like, the whole 180, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the couple of times I've met you, you've been nothing but pro in the locker room, pro in the ring, and you know when the talent will show up early and help putting the ring together and help clean the stuff up and try to take care of everything, man. That's where, believe it or not, I think that's where a lot of respect gets earned in this area, because there's a lot to it that a lot of people don't know about how much is involved in putting a ring together. And occasionally we pull the curtain back here on TRWC. I've posted pictures from when we did the ring at the last Pro Wrestling Union show, so months ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's got great springs in it. And there's no springs. It's nothing but steel bars. But yeah, so Cole mentioned that Georgia has a lot of good places because you were racking off all the places you've been, which he's not wrong, man. Let's see here.
Cole's a solid dude. I love Cole, by the way. I got to say that. He's one of my favorite promoters to work for.
Dude, he's a class act. He's going to tell you like it is. And he's not going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what
you need to hear.
Is. Exactly. Edwin Reyes states that he can't wait to go see his first indie show. Is that sarcasm?
We got to make that happen. Who's Edwin? He's never been to an indie show?
I have no idea. But if you're local to me, hit me up. Shoot me a messenger. You see all the different profiles this is shared on. Find me, send me a message. If you're local in the area, brother, we'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out. And then, Cole also stated, I know I already told you, but I'm proud of you, dude. So, everybody down there, I was proud as hell the moment I saw the picture come from, I think it was Chris Burton.
Yeah, Chris and his brother had posted it on their live. They had caught like the end of the match and it posted up. And I was wondering why my phone was blowing up while I was backstage. I'm I'm trying to stay off my phone. I'm like, I got to see like why I keep getting messages. I'm like, oh, I guess there was fans in the crowd that knew me. I'm like, they weren't just fans. They were my friends.
Exactly. See, I was not able to make it, and I'm 50-50 on it for a couple of reasons. Number one, if I go to anything that loud, man, my son's going to have headphones because
it was pretty loud in there. That pyro, oh my God.
Oh, I'm sure. That's one. Number two is I'm not into big crowds where I'm in it that much anymore. I used to be. I used to love to go to a concert.
Yeah.
And be in a swarm of people, rocking out in front of, Papa Roach or Chevelle or whoever it was, Offspring. That's all well and good. But man, these days I feel like I'm locked in a cage with a bunch of animals I don't like. That's what it feels like being in a crowd now. So that's one of those things where I've got to get over it to go do it again.
That's what happens when we get to our age, man. We're getting old.
Yeah. How old are you?
Too old. I'm 24 now.
You're 24.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you believe that I'm 12 years older than you?
I would not. I would have said early 30s.
No, 36, my friend. I appreciate it, but yeah, that's just because I drink alcohol and do all the things they say
Preserve
you're
your
not
energy.
supposed to do. Do what?
Preserving your life with the alcohol.
That's right. I do everything they tell you not to do to make my life last longer.
That's the secret. Just don't listen.
Exactly. But I mean, dude, it's it's been a pleasure to know you. It's an honor to be, have you here on the show. First guest on the first new show.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
so hell yeah. You check that box off.
That's
Look
another
at
one to get off the bucket. This is actually my first podcast or anything ever. I've never done one before, so this is pretty cool. So when you had
Yeah.
asked me the other day, I was like, shoot, I really kind of want to do it. It'd be fun.
Well, that was the thing. I wanted to try to line up to have somebody here because I haven't done one of these in forever. The last interview I did, I don't know if I shared it with you or not, but me, Ryan Manis, and Lazarus Black sat outside the house drinking beer and smoking for.
Oh, yeah, you sent me that on Messenger the other day. You did.
Yeah, we sat outside smoking and drinking for 2 hours.
That's a hell of an interview there.
It was like a broken version of the Broken Skull sessions. I mean,
Ryan must have just started going on and on and on.
by the end of it, see, I had already been drinking before they got here, and I'm not drinking tonight. This is tea, green tea. But we went through everything. We went through the rise and fall, and training. You mentioned training, so you worked with who was your original trainer?
So I started with Austin Idol, and
Okay.
from there I started hanging out with Judas more and more. From
Michael
Judas, I went over to train in Georgia. So now I train with Todd Sexton. I trained with him, and I also trained with Joey Reimer. So Joey Reimer was another one that helped me. Damian Legion, Elite still helps me out whenever I go visit him. So I mean, I have like a bunch of people that help me out. It's pretty cool. Well, right now I'm in Georgia every week, so I'm with Todd and Nick Halen, Adrian Hawkins.
Awesome. It's awesome, dude. Let's see here. So, with you being backstage after your match, did you get to watch anything else? Or
yeah, I sat over in catering that had the TV running, so I was watching the rest of the show there. So that was pretty good. So we were just sitting around with the wrestlers and just kind of watching around, seeing what's going on.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Did anybody give you any reactions, remarks, anything?
Yeah. So after the match, I went to talk to Davari, who produced the match, and he had told me like the selling was great, everything was great on the match. He goes, just keep in touch and we'll bring you back. And I ended up getting more bookings because of that. So that was great. As far as wrestlers, MVP walked up to me and he sat with us for maybe 10, 15 minutes and he was just talking to me about the match. And he was giving me stories about when he first started. So I'm just like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I used to watch this guy when I was growing up, and now he's just having a full-blown conversation with me. So that was pretty cool. I know, like, I got to see Orton, Mysterio, Riddle was around. That was cool. And then a few other guys walked by. I saw Vince. Vince was, like, freaking 20 feet away from me. I was like, oh. It's like a whole aura when he walks by. Like, everything just stopped. You see Vince walking, I'm like, wow. Like, that's really him.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine, dude. I really couldn't. We do have a question for you. Let's see. Missy Childers asks, are you still going to APW?
Probably not, because I'm booked for the next few Saturdays for the next few months, although it may happen at some point this year. I did tell Jay I'd come by once at least. So there will be a Saturday at some point in the year when I show up.
Gotcha. Now, go ahead and lay out there the next several shows that, people want to come see you.
Pull out the phone because I have a whole calendar here.
Bro, that's cool. And one of the other admins, so this Facebook page is a bunch of different people who are admins who do writing.
Got a lot of likes on here too. It was like 100,000. I was like, wow.
Yeah, this page has 150. The TRWC Attitude page, which has a little bit more adult-oriented stuff. We make some sex jokes and shit like that.
Oh, hey.
Hey, on that one's got like 250,000 likes.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, exactly. But, between both pages, all the likes, one of the other admins is local to Georgia, and I'll be sure to, let her know to hit you up.
Oh, yeah.
Or come check out your shows because they do another podcast called Peaches and Power Bombs, I believe it is.
I don't know if I've heard of them yet or not. I might have, but
they're another up and coming podcast. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. I'm grateful that you decided to grace me with your presence.
Come on, you're my friend, man. Of course.
I know, I appreciate it. But they also do a show that gets put on here on TRWC. So that way we try to get, I want more people to see you, because the more people to see you, the faster you're going. Yep. Because when you say more bookings, are you talking about more bookings at wrestling or more bookings with WWE?
Well, I got 3 with them coming up. So I got booked for 3 more shows with them. And then I got 2 bookings just because of the show on the Indies. So that was pretty cool. But now I'm trying to get back to New York. Like, I'm trying to find indie shows in New York to wrestle at. But it's just a pain in the behind because nobody wants to respond. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I'm from the area.
I got some contacts up in the DC metro area, and I believe they run up in Detroit as well. So I will.
I'll go anywhere.
I'll send a little message and see what I can do for you.
And then as far as the shows I got coming up, just this month, I got on the 15th, I got Southern Fried, which is this Saturday. And then the following Saturday, I got Anarchy. The next weekend after that, I don't have anything yet. So, I mean, that might be an APW weekend for me. I don't know yet. We'll see what I can figure out. But February, I got filled out for the most part. March is almost filled out now. So just this month has been really weird. I guess like all the promotions are kind of just taking off for January so they can recover from Christmas.
Between the Christmas holiday break, trying to get licensed is a pain in the ass.
Well, Georgia, you don't need a license in, which is pretty cool. So Georgia, right. North Carolina, you don't need one. But like places like Alabama, you need one. South Carolina, obviously, you got to pay like a kidney to get a license there.
Dude, I have to pay a license for South Carolina.
Which is insane. I'm like, what are you paying for? It's not like you're fishing or anything.
They got to get their tax money somehow.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, between that and the tax tickets we get when driving up and down 85, I mean, that's about it.
You got to pay for 85 somehow, right? They've been working on it for what, 8 years now?
38? I don't know. God only knows. That's. I've been up and down the coast. I know. I mean, you said you're from New York, dude. 85, 95, 295, 495, 695, all of them. It doesn't matter. I-85 is the worst interstate.
Yep, hands down.
The East Coast.
Hands down. Especially like that gap between like Gaffney and on the way to Charlotte. That is the worst part of it. Like, my God, it's bumpy. You got to go swerving across lanes. Like,
yeah,
it's
pretty much from Portland Springs, yeah.
Yep. So I would take back roads just to avoid the highway. Like, I literally take the back roads. I cut through whatever crap I can just get by.
I take 29, go up through Blacksburg, cut across the meth lands, and then come on up.
That's probably what you cut through Chesney or no?
Is that where you go through? No. That's the top side, I believe. That's the top side. I go through the bottom side of Blacksburg, which is 29. 29 will run you all the way down here to Spartanburg.
Oh, cool. So because when I go to the airport, I just go through Chesney and I just shoot down the back roads there.
Yep. And Missy also says, "Hey, good job."
Thank you, Missy.
Yep.
Missy Childers. That last name sounds familiar.
I'm not too sure who she is, to be honest with you. I know that she has been involved with other independent wrestling. I'm just not 100% sure if I've spoke with her myself. I really don't know. But, I mean, man, still, it's such a cool thing to be able to watch you on Main Event. So, everybody, if you have not seen it,
it is on Hulu right now.
Yep, it is on Hulu right now. See, you notice I'm smart in not showing any clips or any pictures or anything like that.
Probably about that too. So that's why the one clip I posted was like 3 seconds long. I was like, yeah, I don't want to blow any heads there.
It's not even that. It's also copyright infringement because apparently somebody with the last name of Khan apparently doesn't like it. So all people that are doing it, there's been content creators shut down over and over again, especially on YouTube, which we're not on YouTube yet. I think it moves to YouTube tomorrow. I know.
Yeah, make sure you send that to me so I can share it.
Well,
as soon as I get off too.
This initial link is already on 3.
Yeah, I saw it, as I was signing in, I seen the live thing. That I was like, oh, I'm sure that when I get off.
Yep, it's my 3 Facebook pages, or the one I'm involved in, my working page, and then my standard personal page,
Yep.
as well as my Twitch stream and my Twitter. Now, here's a name you may or may not know, Mr. Gary Horn.
Gary Horn.
NWA, Gary Horn.
Gosh, I heard it. Man, don't do this to me now.
So listen, Gary Horn a couple years ago, back when the NWA was just taking off and it was just a YouTube show and it wasn't on Fight TV yet, and they were doing pay-per-views, but it was still on every weekend on YouTube for free.
Yeah, that's when it first started up.
Yeah. So he was doing a This Is NWA podcast, and I reached out to him years ago and was talking to him about it. Lo and behold, Gary now works for the NWA.
Oh, wow.
So he was a Greenville guy. He's now, I don't know if he relocated, but I know he's working for the NWA. And they just had a stream the other night, and they were talking about guys like Colby Carino and stuff like that. I'm like, I could see Luka there. No problem.
Yeah, it'd be cool to go over there. I've been trying, but
this is also getting shared straight to their Discord. And
sweet.
Gary's already been alerted that I was going to have a guest on who was on WWE TV this week. And so hopefully they check this out, and the more
I have good contacts if they need any references.
Hey,
Andrew Dias.
There you go. But man, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. I don't know how much time you have.
Yeah, I'm about to head out now because I gotta get home. I live half an hour away, so I gotta get home. I gotta be up at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Jeez.
It's been a long day.
I'm going to be, when you get up, I won't be up, but I'll be passing that direction. I got to go that way.
I'll wave at you on the way there.
Yeah, I got to go to Bowling Springs tomorrow morning. But at any rate, once again, my friend, thank you very much for joining us. It was an honor to have you here. We're definitely going to have to do this again.
Yes, sure.
Except maybe next time we'll have to sit back and drink a beer together. And
hey, you only live about 15 minutes away from it. We can make that happen.
Oh, I'm
down for a beer or two or three, maybe 10.
Yeah, we'll just have to make sure we orchestrate an Uber.
Yes.
Yes. I don't But my friend, thank you very much for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Luka Daniels. Check him out. Drop all your social media contact for me.
Yes, before I go, it's everything, Twitter, Instagram, it's the same. It's I am Luka Daniels. It is the guy that's really small with a little bit of abs.
There you go. All right, my brother. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, Ron. Thanks for having me. You guys be good.
Of course. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. All right, man. That was fun. A live impromptu interview on the show. That is how I want this to go. I've been in contact with a bunch of other wrestlers this week, including some others who were on AEW this week, and I'm trying to see if I can get them penciled in. Now that we've got this one on and gone, we will continue to press forward, and I'll have them check it out and see if they want to be the guest maybe next Sunday if they are available. Now, holy crap, we got to get back to AEW for the week because, damn, we made it through Monday Night Raw and we made it through NXT. Now we're back at AEW. So just kind of recap that moment there. That was just Bryan Daniels, I think, was the only thing I had covered. Bryan Danielson doing his thing. He did a good job. The match was good. Too much blading for my taste. But anyway, now this is the coolest match of the night in my book because it was only 2 seconds, and the guy who lost never even got touched. Shawn Dean defeated MJF via disqualification. Worked out so great. That's what you call psychology and storytelling. Freaking loved it. I loved how they built that. And I can't imagine it to go any better way than having CM Punk beating MJF to keep him on a losing streak throughout the year. It'd be awesome. The Jericho promo killed me. I didn't like the Jericho promo at all. Jericho is not a bad talker. He's not a bad promo. He's not ever been a bad promo. This was weak. This was weaker than Fat-Headed Dipshit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all remember him singing that song months ago about Dan Lambert. It didn't work. If your show is too time constrained, do backstage vignettes in that manner to have the back and forth done that way. That builds more intrigue without blowing your load in the ring for nothing. Wardlow defeated Zamborino. I don't even know who Zamborino was, or because I say was because you may not be breathing after that. Power bomb, rinse, repeat, over and over. I get it. Okay, it made sense. We see you're a badass, but you're giving me like no depth to the character itself. That kind of sucked. Jade Cargill defeated Ruby Soho. I enjoyed it. I thought the match was good. It did not need the outside interference. That's the one thing that is really getting on my nerves. It feels like every freaking match has to have an extra body in there. Is it because you're not giving people enough TV time? Is it because there's people who you want to be on TV, but you don't know where to put them? That becomes a writing and a creative problem, not a let's give everybody else because they need to hit TV too. That's bullshit in my book. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. But either way, Ruby didn't need to win the match. I never thought that she would, especially after seeing Jade Cargill's kid in the crowd. That little girl going, "That's my mommy." You knew she was going to win. You knew she was going to win. It was still a good match. It was still a fun time. It wasn't rough. It for as green as Cargill is, it looked good. You could tell she didn't want to do that move from the top rope, which was interesting. I thought she was going to the top, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be bad." I really got genuinely concerned for a minute, but it turned out just fine. Let's see. Moving on, Malachi Black defeated Brian Pillman Jr. Man, that was a great showing for Brian Pillman. No joke. It looked so good to have him actually do damage to Malachi Black, which is something you don't see all the time because Malachi is a very protected character, which works because he's a great character. Tommy End is a phenomenal wrestler. He was great as Tommy End. He was great as Aleister Black. Whether anybody likes it or not, he was even great on the main roster in WWE as Aleister Black. The reality's there. He was a great talent. He is a great talent. What was weird was it was weird at the end. The ending made him look more green, made Pillman look more green, more so than having Black look more dominating. That was the thing that threw me off. I really think that they could have nixed that spot where the overzealous youngster messes up. That's a tried and true rinse repeat story that we see all the time. So it is what it is. So moving on. In my book, that was one of the best matches on the card for the night, was that. Moving on to the main event of AEW Dynamite, the Jurassic Express defeated the Lucha Brothers to win the AEW tag titles. It was a good tag team match. It really was. It told a great story. I wasn't digging the table at first. I really wasn't. But once the spot hit, it made sense. That's called psychology. And when you listen to people talk, a lot of y'all are listening to me talk right now. If you want to hear this from somebody who knows what they're talking about, you can go listen to Bully Ray. I can't tell you anybody who's going to know better about in-ring psychology than guys like Bully Ray. His Busted Open radio show is probably one of the best things on the market right now, in my opinion. I listen to them. I listen to Bruce Pritchard. I don't listen to Cornette because I don't like Jim Cornette. His political jargon drives me up a wall. I got no use for that. But Stone Cold's podcast was great. I want to get into the Briscoe with Layfield. That one has had some really cool spots in it that I've enjoyed. But at any rate, when you listen to these guys talk about telling a story, they're doing it for how to lay it out to you so you get it, and for you so the wrestlers get it. That's where it all gets fun at. So the spot with Ray Phoenix's arm at the end of that match, you see his hand get just bent in a position that doesn't work whatsoever. Doesn't make sense. Ow. And it was thank God it was just a dislocation because that would have been a really bad break. A couple of weeks of physical therapy. He should be back in no time. So for what it was, Wasn't a bad show. Wasn't a great show. It's AEW. It's just AEW. It's decent. The production quality kills me, and that's all there is to it. The commentary wasn't bad. Um, I'm not the biggest Shivani fan, but I wasn't the biggest Shivani fan when Shivani was doing WCW. Jim Ross, I think age has finally caught up to the man, but he still does a great job. So let's put that statement together. Does a great job for his age. For his age, he's phenomenal. You can't beat it. What was interesting was how you had I can't remember the other guy, the luchador guy. You had him trying to explain how he was on the heels of his feet. Oh, now he's on his tippy toes. That gives him more leverage. God damn, I can't think of that cat's name. Anyway, so wasn't a bad show, but there's just a lot. There's a lot of moving parts with AEW, and there's just a lot of stuff. I feel as a young company, they still have a lot of stuff to work on. So we're going to go ahead and move into main event, which we covered most of it. T-Bar defeated Dennis Daniels, which is Luka Daniels, who was our guest here on the show just a few moments ago. Thank you again, Luka, for joining me. I really appreciate that, brother. Luka came out talking trash, hit T-Bar once, T-Bar squashed him. I mean, if you didn't see it, dude, Luka took some incredible bumps in that match. Some of that stuff looked pretty rough, but dude, you saw him tonight. He's happy, he's healthy, and he loved it. So more power to him. And as always, man, I wish him the best in his future in this industry. Just a solid, good dude. Then you had the Mysterios defeat the Hurt Business. Good match all around. Main event is not one of the shows I plan on rating. It's internet based. I'm not going to throw ratings as something that's just on the internet where you have to go an extra mile to see it. It is what it is. For what it was, an hour show with a Monday Night Raw recap in it, it wasn't bad. NXT UK, Carter and Smith defeated Symbiosis. I have no clue who any of those people were, but it was an impressive match because I did catch NXT UK earlier today. Earlier today, I was sitting there with my kids and we were watching wrestling. So that was a neat match. Symbiosis kind of reminds me of the Briscoe brothers, but more athletic looking, if that makes any sense. They've got that kind of similar vibe to them. So, but it works. Zaya Brookside, she is freaking awesome. The daughter of Robbie. And I really believe that girl's got a hell of a future in this industry. She may be small, but she's fierce. And hey, look, Alexa Bliss has been champ how many times? So it works. It makes sense. She defeated Mila Grace, a relative newcomer is what I'm understanding. But it was a cool match. There was a couple of spots in there that seemed like they didn't need to be there, but that's with every match. Women's champ Miko Satomura defeated Blair Davenport. This is one of the ones I did not watch. I just documented how it went. So, moving on now to Impact Wrestling. This is the part of the show where most people are probably going to turn off, and that's going to also dictate whether or not I keep covering it. So, this is the consummate shit show of professional wrestling. I try to watch it weekly. Doesn't happen. I try to watch it monthly. It's a little better there. I mainly keep up on it through some of the other admins who watch everything and more than what I do, and that's great. More power to them. It was a hard show to make it through. I'll just put it that way. So, and we lost 90% of our audience that quick. Yeah, that just happened. I'm going to get through this part real quick then. We got a 6-woman tag match. Chelsea Green, Lady Frost, and Tasha Steelz defeated Rachel, Jordan, and Rosemary by Chelsea pinning Rachel. Overproduced spot fest, botch mania. Just it's No, I just didn't enjoy it. Next match, Jonah pins Jake something. Jake had a solid match here. I really, I hadn't seen much of Jake something. That dude's awesome. I like watching him. He's just a little overzealous. He's a little too hype in his character for me, but it's still cool. Jonah hits a splash to win. Out comes Josh Alexander. They scuffle. The security breaks it up. Now, Jonah hits a splash through the table to end this whole segment. I get it. You're building towards your pay-per-view Saturday night. But at the same time, you got to, while you want to entice the fans, you got to leave them wanting a little bit more. Because the table spot should be how shit ends, not how stuff starts, in my opinion. You come to the table to enjoy it. You go through the table to send it home. It's just me. It's delivery. It's how I feel about it. But, oh, man. You know what? Hey, Mr. Larson, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. As always, I hope your health is doing well, my friend. I'm not really that local, but if you need anything, you know how to get in touch with me. So let's see here. Back to Impact Wrestling we go. So Masha Slamovich makes her debut and pins Moon in a debut for both women, apparently. I mean, it was a squash match. It was okay, but it was a squash match with two debuting women. I'd rather see a debut showcase a reason why I want to see him again than a here's what you got. It's just very odd. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, Deonna Purrazzo defeat Mercedes Martinez. Best match of the night, hands down, for that show. Best match of the night for Impact Wrestling was that. Deonna Purrazzo is awesome, and so is Mercedes Martinez. And anybody saying anything different, just because they couldn't make it on another roster doesn't mean they're not a good talent. That's common knowledge these days. And then Mickey gets in the ring for a stare down with Deonna Purrazzo. Yet again, we're building towards their pay-per-view match come Saturday. Makes sense. They sent it home all night long on Impact Wrestling that this was about Saturday's coming. Saturday's coming. Hard to kill, hard to kill, hard to kill. It worked. It made sense. It worked. This worked. The show may have sucked. The production may be ass. They sold the point home. They had people ready and wanting to see Hard to Kill. So that was the whole point of the show, and it worked. Let's see. Ace Austin and Madman Fulton defeat Johnny Swinger and Hernandez. I'm not the biggest fan of Austin or Fulton. So let's put that on the table. Johnny Swinger is kind of a outlaw macho goof, if I do say so myself. But it's okay. The dude apparently is doing pretty good things. If he's on TV, he's getting paid good. So that's all right. And then Hernandez has been doing this forever. And the guy literally could go do whatever he wanted to in pro wrestling and nobody would bat an eye to him. He's not a bad hand at all. But as far as Ace Austin and Madman Fulton go, Ace Austin is like, let's see, a grunge wannabe version of The Miz. I'm going to go with that. Not bad in the ring, kind of aids on the mic. That's about how I feel. But Ace Austin as a character and as a worker, he does his thing. His look gives you the perception that he's what I was saying, a grunge era wannabe Miz, because that's kind of, if you don't believe me, and you don't know what grunge is, look it up. Grunge era attitude plus Miz equals that guy, Ace Austin. That's just kind of how it looks. Carl Anderson defeated Heath Slater, or is it Heath Slater still, or is it just Heath now? It's just Heath, I guess, to gain the war match advantage. Wasn't a bad match. Yet again, extra people coming in is overdone. Thankfully, it didn't happen too much in this night. Oh man. So far so good. We have caught up through main event. We're all the way down now. We are heading to Friday Night SmackDown. One sec. There we go. So, with this being said, a lot of the stuff I did have to go back and rewatch. Yet again, that's a lot of wrestling to catch in a week. And this is a long-ass show we're doing here. Any more questions, comments, or concerns, keep them rolling in. I'll post them up as you put them out. So, killer opening segment with Brock, Roman, and Paul Heyman. You can't buy that kind of magic that these men are able to produce. You really can't. It's been a phenomenal time. And it's unbelievable to me that people even think that Paul Heyman isn't the best on the mic. And Scott Larson says, now we get to the GOAT. Okay, guy, here we go. Yeah, I'm going to get to your GOAT, all right. Just a great opening segment, a good piece of business. I'm hoping it goes to a title unification, preferably at WrestleMania. Let's just make it big, one and done. I don't need 2 main event WWE title matches, one on each night. I don't need that. Put something cool on the main event for night 1 and do this on the main event for night 2. Let's do it that way. But at any rate, so opening match, Rick Boogs versus Sami Zayn. The coolest thing is this. I like Rick Boogs. I really think this dude is talented. He looked awesome in the match. He wins via a roll-up, which I'm not the biggest fan of the roll-up. It lacks psychology, creativity, and imagination. However, when you're doing it to Sami Zayn, who is the drizzling shits of professional wrestling on WWE programming, I don't care anymore. It's fine now. So, realistically, they could take The Miz and team him up with Sami Zayn, and they could go be a tag team, and nobody would care. Do you know why nobody would care? Because nobody cares about either one of them. It's the sad truth that is here. As a matter of fact, because of the person calling this about the GOAT, hey, man, would this be considered the hashtag truth? I think it would. I think it would be considered the hashtag truth, my friend. So, zing. Anyway, Johnny Knoxville comes out after the match and throws Sammy up and he throws him up and over the top rope. It's great. It's freaking great. Johnny Knoxville, I've been watching this jackass, watching him for years, since I was a teenager when this shit first came out for Jackass. Great show. I'm glad to see they're making another movie. I'm glad to see that they're doing something else with it. And yes, here we go. Sammy gets slighted by everyone. How sad. Yes, he got slighted by Johnny Knoxville. At least it was somebody more relevant than him that got him over the top rope. Anyway, here we go with an opinion piece on this one here. The roll-up is the most devastating maneuvers in wrestling because nobody wants to put over people. You're right. It's the way that people use to protect a wrestler as them looking as though they got confused and wamboozled and skun over that way. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Mr. McAfee. Really do. As far as it went, though, to me, Boogs looked good anyway because of how he was performing in the ring. Why are they trying to protect Sammy is kind of why would they go with a roll-up is my thought. But, why are you going to protect this guy? He's got to be cheap labor. That's the only thing I can figure for Sami Zayn. He's got to be cheap labor. I got into another conversation about pro wrestling not long ago. WWE having to bring in the women extras for the Rumble. Yep. WWE probably going to bring in extra legends for the men's Rumble. Yep. You don't need full-time talent. every day. Do you think that Sami Zayn is the reason somebody buys a ticket? Do you think Rick Boogs is the reason somebody buys a ticket? Somebody may buy a ticket to see Shinsuke Nakamura. I'll give you that. People probably buy a ticket to see Drew. People probably buy a ticket to see Brock or Roman or Paul. They probably buy a ticket to see those big names. And everybody else is just kind of a supporting character, a supporting actor in the big role. And are they, man, what are you doing across the country? So you got to realize that, in my estimation, what the WWE could do if they wanted to save an unlimited amount of money and resources is exactly what they did to, this week here in Greenville. They brought in extras and brought in real cheap labor that's not under contract to do a job. They came in and they did their thing. They went home after getting paid. They're not a burden on you. They're not doing your social media. They're not hurting your ratings. They're not doing shit. They're going to promote the match because it was them on it, and it's going to get them more independent bookings outside of it. They really don't need to have as many wrestlers as they had on the roster. Everybody says, oh, character cuts, and they're saving money, but they're $1 billion company. Yeah, they were a $1 million company. They should have been a $1 billion company. And now they're a $1 billion company that's going to turn into a multi-billion dollar company because it's called economics. Did you guys take business class in high school, or was it just me? It was probably me. But if you go look at shit like that, it'll give you a kind of layout to where you really don't need to pay for more than what you're going to use. When you go buy groceries, do you buy 7 gallons of milk, one for each day? No, because you're not going to drink a gallon of milk each day in most houses. Maybe if there's 20 of you living there, you might. But for the most part, a gallon of milk lasts most homes 2 weeks. I got a family of 4 in this damn place, and a gallon of milk doesn't go bad here normally, but occasionally it does. You can't overexert your expenses when you don't need to. It doesn't matter whether they have the money. Rich people don't have money because they earn more. They don't spend a lot of it. That's the big trick here. That's the hugest thing with all of it, is it's all about the paper. It's all about the money. And if you can't see that, that's crazy. And all right, hold on. I'm gonna have to go there. I'm with you. I gotta go here. If he would go back to the underground character, Sammy, not this gimmicky crap, he could be a good U.S. champ. I don't doubt that, Scott. I'm not saying he couldn't be a solid mid-carder. He is a good wrestler. His characters suck. I don't care. And his music is abysmal. His music drives me nuts. He's not cool enough to use ska for music. It doesn't work. He's not that cool. He doesn't earn it in my book. Now, here we go. This one has to come out. Here we go. They released the Road Dogg, William Regal, and Samoa Joe, yet Sammy's still there? That's puzzling. No, it's not. They probably paid more for Regal, Road Dogg, and Samoa Joe than they did Sammy. They had to. Those 3 combined versus that one guy that actually is going to get burned up on TV occasionally. Realistically, that's the only thing I can come up with. But as far as wrestling royalty, Regal, Samoa Joe, and Road Dogg are up there on that list. The Road Dogg, whether people want to give him credit or not, was a phenomenal character and a phenomenal ring psychologist. He understood the business, but most of the Armstrongs do. William Regal is one of the greatest heels of our life and time. And I say our life and time because he's been doing this for a long freaking time. He's been wrestling since he was a kid in England. Samoa Joe, as much as I respect and like that man, it sucks he had that bad of an injury luck when it came to his WWE run. Understand this when I say it, because this is going to change a lot of perceptions of history if it happened this way. If Samoa Joe hadn't stayed in TNA, Samoa Joe had gone to WWE in his earlier years, TNA would never have gotten the same recognition it gets now for being so awesome because it gave him a shot. And Samoa Joe, God knows what he would have done in his career. It's just hard to say. You can't rewrite history, but you can reimagine anything. So still rolling strong here. Charlotte comes out and talks her shit about the Royal Rumble match. And this list is nuts. You got Mickey James, you got Kelly, you got the Bellas. Oh, sorry, I'm trying not to throw up here. The Bellas have no non-business being back in the ring. Between the Queen of Botches and the neck traffic or the neck problem caused by boob jobs, I'm just done. I got nothing for it. Scott Lawson, oh, you didn't know your ass better call somebody. Funny story. We're gonna lay this one out there. I'll get to you in a minute. So, when I first got involved with the local scene here, Johnny Danger came up to me, JB, as we call him. So this cat came up to me and goes, hey, man, you need to go out there and you need to do the road dog thing. Brother, the road dog thing? What are you talking about? He goes, you didn't know that. I'm like, dude, this is my first night working here. I'm not going out there in front of that crowd and ripping off somebody else's gimmick. That's not okay. I can't do that. He goes, oh, come on, brother. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be funny. I'm like, no. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. So I took that and I went back here. I sat here in this very room, not in this chair, in a different one, and wrote a promo similar to theirs. And I rewrote it. Now I got it approved by the owner of the company, CPW, Buck Carter, Buckshot. If you're hearing me, I'm glad you're healthy. And I'm glad you're doing good, my friend. Let's see here. And I showed up to the next show with it. And I said, hey man, you come here. I need you to hold this. I didn't have a good memory at this time. And I was like, hold up. I need you to hold this for me. So I can read it. I need you to hold my script. So he held it and I read it. And this fool is standing there behind the gorilla position, busting out laughing. I'm trying to hold the mic away and read this crap at the same time so that nobody hears him dying in the back. But I wrote it just for him because he told me to do the road dog thing. It was funny as hell. It worked. I don't know. Mason Moore was the booker back then. There was some weird shit going on, but it was a good time. Anyway, I love working CPW. I thank the world of all them guys. Just a great group of people. Cole was always there. And, now we bring up no Tony Storm. Tony Storm left on her own accord. She asked for her release because she didn't want to work that insane of a schedule. That's a whole other ballgame. That's not a WWE releasing people to release people because they need to get rid of people. That's a different thing. WWE is cauterizing their own wounds by releasing talent. That's A. Tony Storm going home because she wanted to go watch somebody get circumcised is another freaking story. We're not going to cross those. Those are two different things. Mr. Bill Hazelwood, the legend himself. This is a guy that I cannot wait to get on this show because if you think I am obscene or I'm an ass about my opinions, this man right here is the greatest of it. I'm telling you what I know. Bill Hazelwood is a marketing genius. When it comes to professional wrestling, he knows what he's doing. He's been in marketing and advertising over 40 years of his life. And I owe him a lot of gratitude. I really do. Number one, I met him at the charity show. First and foremost, 2019, we did a charity show for a family where the husband and their father had cancer. And we were trying to raise money and do a good thing. And I met him, just a class act, very nice guy, very down to earth. So all of a sudden, I get asked to be ring announcer. My very next show, Bill Hazelwood's there. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm a bit nervous because Bill's a big deal here. If you're in the Carolinas and you know anything about combat sports, Bill Hazelwood is a name you have heard and dealt with. For me to go do my thing, come back behind the curtain, and that man to be waiting there to shake my hand and say, "Hey, good job, kid. Thank you, good sir. As always, I appreciated it." So now the results are in. Bill Hazelwood is telling the truth. And here we go. So Vince lets some go, and bam, now AEW has too many guys. AEW already had too many guys, Bill. We already knew this. This has already been a thing. We've already established that AEW has too many talent, and that's why they do some of the hokey shit they do with the 30 million participant tag team matchups, or the overbloated squash matches on Dark to try to fluff the numbers. There's just some weird shit when it comes to AEW. Look, don't get me wrong. It's got its spots that I like, but it's got its spots that don't make sense and that don't work for me either. All right. So continuing on, now that we've gotten through this, past couple years of wrestling history with a couple of my good friends. Like I say, they introduced Kelly's coming to Mickey James as the Impact Knockouts champion. That was said on WWE TV. Yet again, y'all want to keep talking about this glass door or black door or fire door or escape hatch or whatever you want to call it. The shit's been there. The forbidden door has been opened forever. They don't always want to acknowledge other people because they are on land all their own. That's like me. I don't acknowledge people in other houses because that's their house. This is my house. This is how you do business. Think logically. Think here. Does Iron Man ever acknowledge Batman? Two separate universes, two separate worlds. Come on, folks. It ain't hard. It ain't rocket science. The game is chess, not checkers. It's all about long term. If you don't live long term, you're not handling your shit right. So, next match was Naomi versus Charlotte after Naomi came out, challenged Flair, and slapped the shit out of her while Flair was making all of her hoopla arrangements about the Royal Rumble. So, we end up going to Flair winning with natural selection. Then during the match, she locked in a figure four. And I want you all, if you can go look it up, to find out how that move was locked in. Because the standard figure four is a lot tighter than what Flair did. But when they had it, man, Naomi's ankle was bending across her own knee. The way they had that locked in, if somebody had to move too much, it really could have hurt Naomi, and that would have sucked. Because right now they need their roster. They always need their roster. So, next one out, we had Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss defeated the Viking Razors. Number one, Happy Talk is not as bad as the Miz TV, but still not as good. Moss acting like Drew McIntyre. Okay, we haven't seen the parody shit in a while. Pretty funny. I can deal with it. The Raiders come out and lose a decent tag team match. Actually, wasn't a bad match at all. Yet again, SmackDown is bringing the heat. They have just as many matches as any other show on TV does, and it's a good time. So, let's see here. Scott Larson had to say, Bill Hazelwood and David Cody, send one up to David, taught me a lot about the business when I broke into podcasting. I sucked it up like a sponge. Dude, I've been paying attention to Bill Hazelwood since the day I met him. So, Scott, I agree with you. But I've also paid attention to you. I've talked to you and asked you questions. I talked to Gary Horn and asked Gary questions. I'm pointing at the other screen that you can't see in front of you because that's where my Discord is, and that's how I get a hold of Gary on the This Is Pro Wrestling Discord channel. You can check out all the different people talking about all the different shows all the damn time, and it's pretty cool. So then you've got uh, so many different people that you can pay attention to out there when it comes to trying to learn stuff about the business. Realistically, the business is like a Bible. You're going to take it in your own perception. Now, either way, it's badass and it's great. And like I said, I pay attention to everybody because I like dealing with everybody. Bill Hazelwood writes in next. They mentioned Mickey James and Impact, and the world can't stop talking about it again. Tell me again how everybody is smarter than Vince McMahon. Prove him wrong. Prove him wrong. I'll leave that up to the fans. I'll leave that up to the faithful because it ain't got to be me proving that man wrong. I'm not going to prove him wrong because I can't. Because I said the same shit earlier. At the beginning of the show, we touched on this. I knew it was going to come back up. You guys, one thing about this show is going to go for damn near 3 hours is my goal. Damn near 3 hours every week if I can pull it off. We'll see how that works. Today's day one. But we've already been at it for an hour and 45 minutes. So we're not doing bad. At any rate, heading back to it. The main event of Friday Night SmackDown, we had the Usos defeat the New Day in a tag team title street fight. Great match, but god damn it, I'm tired of seeing it. I have had enough of seeing that match over and over and over again. It's been insane. It has been ridiculous for how much they do on. We don't need that repeat of a match every week. It's a great match. And I'm sure they could do it again another 20, 30, 50 times. I don't need it every day. I love to eat spaghetti. I'm not going to eat spaghetti every day. I love to eat steak. I'm not going to eat steak every day. I love to watch them wrestle. I don't want to watch them wrestle every day. At least not up against each other. And let's see here. So that concludes SmackDown. Once again, another solid show by WWE for the week. Here we go, loading up a comment. Scott Larson says, Vince has got some all moments set up for the upcoming Rumble. Of course, anybody with a half a brain cell knows that there's something big going to happen at the Rumble. We don't know what yet, but I'm expecting a banger between Lashley and Brock. I 100% am expecting that. There's no reason not to have a banger match for them two. There's the men's Rumble. They haven't even started to announce people in it other than Knoxville. I think Knoxville is the only guaranteed person to be in the Rumble so far, right? Maybe a few more. It's not many. There's some openings there, and there's probably going to be some bodies coming in from other places, or there's going to be legends coming out of the woodwork. The women's Royal Rumble, they already announced some of the competitors. So some of the people are not surprises. That leads me to think there's going to be even more surprises for the names they haven't mentioned. People they haven't mentioned at all. Who's going to be that? All right. Moving on. We're going into 205 Live. We've got Malik Blade defeated Draco Anthony. I didn't watch this, so I'm just going to say who won. Then you had Nikita Lynn defeated Erica Han, and Ikemen Jiro defeated Ru Feng. Cool for 205 Live, I guess. I didn't get a chance to watch it. So much content, hard to put it all together, especially working the hours I work. So it is what it is, folks. Now, AEW Rampage, Adam Cole, Bay versus Jake Atlas. Adam Cole wins, of course, but Atlas looked great. let's see, the backstabber spot where Atlas tried to like jump backwards across the rope for I don't know what he was going for, but cool. He wasn't going for like a Cody cutter, I guess. Maybe. Who knows? It's Jake Atlas. But so you had the backstabber spot. That looked pretty cool. And Adam Cole with a win. That's fine. Because we're now covering AEW Rampage. I got to change the banner. And, we've had comments. So let's see here. I would flip if The Rock shows up. Dude, I would too, but The Rock has got his hands in so much shit right now. It's hard to say what he is and is not going to do. I'm really confused about. I wonder why he's not doing the Fast series anymore. That's got me kind of weird because he was such a. I thought he was a big important part of that show. I thought he was a big important part of that movie and that that universe. We'll call that a universe because they even had the breakoff film. But he's got the XFL coming out next year, as well as his mana drink and his tequila or whatever. He's got all this stuff. He's got his hands in so much. Who knows if he shows up? I hope he does, but still. Hey, brother, Mr. Rollins, thank you. This is Mr. Rollins is the promoter for HIS, his pro wrestling, right here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Great show, great people to be associated with. Looking forward to more with them. So, but back to it, we're going to knock out AEW Rampage, and we're going to keep it on right through the rest of these shows. And then I've got to get into what's coming up locally right here in independent wrestling. So, like I say, the match with Cole and Jake Atlas was good. Cole wins as to be expected. It worked for both of them. Hook versus Aaron Solo with QT Marshall. Hook wins via submission. This kid is a badass. There's no doubt about it. I, for the life of me, can't see a negative draw right now to Hook at all. Young kid, in shape, doing good work, reminds me of his father in the way he moves. That's what's awesome. The kid hits moves like his old man did. And that's why I'm like, I've got to watch this kid. Because I'm drawn to him because I was such a big fan of Taz. I think Taz was a great worker back in the day. And over all those years of time, I still could have seen Taz getting in the ring. Maybe not today. But, there could be a one-off where he gets in there and does something. Let's see. The AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter with Rebel versus Riho and Ruby Soho. All right, Riho and Ruby win with a roll-up. Jamie Hayter continues to be impressive in her young career. I am a huge fan of Jamie Hayter. That's what I like to see is a young character, intensity. She's pretty solid in the ring. You can tell she's still got growing pains going. But as far as it goes, she's as solid in the ring as it gets. She looks better than some 10 and 15-year veterans do. That's no joke. She seriously has a great career ahead of her. Ruby and Riho winning. What was that supposed to do? Give you a glimmer of hope for Riho to capture the title from Britt Baker? Because I don't see Britt Baker losing the belt for another 6 months to a year. There's no reason why. There always has to be a why when it comes to professional wrestling. There's no reason to take the belt off of her at this point. If you weren't going to do it to Ruby Soho, if you weren't going to give it to any of your other multi-signings that have come up through the ranks, why would you let it go back to Riho when nobody cared that Riho was champion? You got to think what's going to get you paid and keep you paid in this industry. That is not going to get you paid. So, Oh, let's see here. Next up, we had Daniel Garcia and 2.0 versus Jeff Parker, or 2.0 is Jeff Parker and Matt Lee versus the Mad King, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Santana, Kingston, and Ortiz win via pin. Nice hardcore match. Yet again, it doesn't take a lot of psychology to hit somebody with a trash can. It takes a lot of psychology to sell being hit with a trash can. You got to understand that when you hit somebody with a chair, there's this window of time that they should sell that. When you hit somebody with a trash can, there's a certain window of time they should sell that. When you put somebody through a table, they shouldn't be getting up right away. These are all very intricate and important things when it comes to pro wrestling. And luckily, a lot of outlaw matches in this area don't do too much of the over theatrical garbage business here. So just, it wasn't a bad show for Rampage. It's a quick 1 hour. It's easy to enjoy. It was on too late for me as I had to be up for work early the next morning, so I caught it this morning. I watched it this morning. So moving on now to AEW's Battle of the Belts. And this is actually my last banner for the evening, and then I'll just, talk about everything else myself as it goes. So Battle of the Belts was a TNT special, I guess, that they decided to do for whatever reason. I don't care. Give me more wrestling on TV. Awesome. Thanks. So they decided to crown an interim TNT champion because Cody couldn't make it. Okay, I get it, but you didn't need to. It's been a couple of days. Well, he was just on TV on Christmas. It's not like y'all beat the 30, 60, or 90-day no-compete rule, and now you got to forfeit your belt. It doesn't work that way. Well, at least not to me. I think this was pulling the gun. But, hey, on that note, I already sent a tweet to Tony Khan, and you can check it on my Twitter, which this video will be posted on. And I also said it to the chat room earlier when we were all talking about stuff. I'm like, hey, whoever leaks all of our great ideas to the big leagues, do me a favor and somebody tell Tony Khan I want to see Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara in a ladder match to unify the belts. Wait, we've seen that before, but it would make sense now because it's on AEW. Because we've seen it on WWE 100 times with the IC title. We just saw a title unification match. So, AEW, it's your turn. They just did it on NXT. Can you do it now? But make it a ladder match so that way at least it's something different, kind of. Oh, wait, no, WWE did that one too 30 freaking years ago. Actually, it's only been 26, 27 because WrestleMania X, WrestleMania 10 was Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, unification of the Intercontinental title. And there was also ladder matches before that. But at any rate, let's do that. Oh, no, maybe you guys can be original. Let's go do the 3 Stages of Hell match like they did at WCW back years and years ago. Put the TNT title at the top of that thing. That'll be fun. Let's do that. So, hey, Tony, I know. I've got ideas. Call me. Whatever. So, at any rate, Sammy Guevara wins it. Wasn't a bad match. I don't understand, yet again, the overproduction, but it is what it is. Sometimes, man, y'all just gotta let psychology play it out, and especially when it comes to guys like Dustin Rhodes, who is a master of psychology. His father was arguably one of the best talkers in this industry. His brother is not a bad wrestler on any side of the coin whatsoever. You got to let the steak marinate a little bit. You got to get the sizzle on it or it ain't done. It's just how it works. Moving on, we had the TNT or the FTW Championship, which makes no sense that we had Ricky Starks versus Matt Sydal. Starks retains. Look, for everybody saying AEW is the place to go if you're an underused or underappreciated wrestler, case in point, Matt Sydal. I'm glad he gets TV time, but Jesus Christ, the guy takes more losses than anybody else in the company. I don't get it. The kid's good. He's always been good, but it is what it is. Riho versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's World Title. Yet again, anybody could have called this. I would have called Baker retained and bet the house on it. There was no reason for Riho to win. But at any rate, she did retain, and off we go into the next challenger, whoever that may be. What a bad match. But you got to come up with a little bit better way to get Britt Baker across. She's already over. She doesn't need to be put over further. She's already over. She needs to be presented in a different light to elevate her to an even higher level. Because you're getting ready to run out of credible talent to challenge her when you have somebody built like Jade Cargill as your mid-card champion. You have somebody built like Britt Baker as your main champion. You got to think about that logically, and you got to build that into a manner that makes sense. All right. Impact Hard to Kill. Yet another show I didn't watch. Just a quick recap here. Jake Something defeats Madman Fulton. That's cool. I like Jake Something. Speedball Mike Bailey, who defeats Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and the Laredo Kid. Chris Bay's cool. I don't know anybody else in that match except Ace Austin. I'm not a fan. Tasha Steelz defeated Chelsea Green, Lady Frost, Jordan Grace, Alicia, and Rosemary in an Ultimate X match. It's cool that they did that. The first ever women's match. I hear it was awesome. So when I finally get a chance to sit down and watch it, I'm hoping to enjoy that. Trey Miguel retains the X Division title over Steve Macklin. Jonathan Grisham retains the ROH World title over Chris Sabin. Josh Alexander defeated Jonah, which I hear was a banger. Everybody says Jonathan Grisham match was awesome too. I'm really hopeful it is, and I'm really looking forward to what's it called, Terramanus or whatever he's got that's coming out. I'm really interested to see how that goes. I really hope it's going to be a great show. I'm genuinely interested to see how they put their spin on it. Now that Ring of Honor is pretty much kaput, what could they do? Let's see here. Heath Slater, Rhino, Rich Swann, Willie Mack, and Eddie Edwards defeated the Good Brothers and Violent by Design in a 10-man hardcore war match. So in other words, it was War Games without the cage, but with all the weapons, same rules. Cool. I'm glad they won the match. So that worked out. And then after the match, you had these guys from Ring of Honor come out, I suppose, at some point. PCO, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis Bennett, and some other dude I don't know that somebody else told me his name the other day and I can't remember. Yeah, that guy. That's what they said. So what does that mean? Does that mean Ring of Honor is going to Impact? Does that mean Impact is going to be its own thing? Or Ring of Honor is going to be its own thing still? Or nobody knows what they're doing. So that is pretty much all I got for the big recap of the week. We did it in 2 hours and snuck in about a 30-minute interview. Guys, the floor is yours. Anybody has anything else they want to add? Because I'm getting ready to rack off the local independent shows that I'm dealing with lately. And I am going to be moving on from there and calling it a hell of a podcast and a hell of a first one for our first time out. Let's see here. For the local shows coming up next, we have CMW Evolution presents Next Level. This will be on January 21st at Relentless Church in Greenville, South Carolina. Doors open at 6, bell time at 7. I, the Saint, will be there, and I'll be your ring announcer. Look forward to seeing you there. If you saw me on this podcast and you showed up, be sure you say hey and let me know. That would be awesome. Let's see. Coming up February the 18th, we have His Pro Wrestling. That's HIS, Professional Wrestling, in Packlet, South Carolina. It's February the 18th. Really looking forward to that show. Once again, I'll be the ring announcer there as well. Professional Wrestling Union, as we had on here earlier, Cole Maccabee was here. He is the owner, promoter. He is the man of that one. They present the Wrestling Classic on March the 26th in Union, South Carolina, which, this is a really interesting point, as seen on other programming, as seen on the NWA, Colby Carino will be challenging the Pro Wrestling Union heavyweight champion, Chase Emery. And I can tell you one thing. Luka and I were talking earlier, and y'all heard me say, man, I could have seen a bunch of matches on TV and getting paid for it. A bunch of these guys could have been getting paid to be on big TV. Vince would have paid for this. Tony would have paid for it. Scott may have paid for it. Maybe not much, but he would have paid for it. The NWA, man, any of these companies would have paid to see Chase Emery and some of his matches. Anybody would have paid gladly to see Luka Daniels in some of the matches he's been in. Austin Bebop, or what's it go by? Bebop, the great Dana the Game himself. My man, there's so many talented wrestlers that are associated with Pro Wrestling Union. It's great. It's unbelievable. It's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. It's a great time to be involved in independent pro wrestling. I want to thank you to everybody who stuck it out, everybody who's tuned into the show. It's been a great show. Thank you. If you like what you saw, you agree with what I said. Hell, if you didn't agree with me, if you want to argue with me and call me a son of a bitch, do me a favor. Hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and hit that share button. I'll find you on any social media you can find me on. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. It doesn't matter. I'm on them all. Twitter and all. Every venue, I'm there. Because I can be. Not because I want to or use it, but because I am. So you will find this on YouTube in the next week or two. Hopefully we'll find this landed on a podcast server near you by the end of the week as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been real. It has been fun. And hell, this time it's been real fun. Thank y'all very much for tuning in. I hope you have a great evening. I hope you enjoyed this week in professional wrestling. This has been our inaugural cast of The Wrestling Wire Week in Review. Oh, my God. Did you get the acronym? Thank you. And good night.